What's going on, music producers? In today's video, I want to show you a real life example of one of my standout producer students from my peak enjoyment training. I want you to see specifically how this approach to making music has the potential to not only change how you approach and create your beats, but also it's crazy that it has the opportunity to help you build your self-confidence and just your overall belief within yourself as a music producer. This student's name is Barber. Aaron quickly went from struggling with extreme self-doubt and just complete overthinking to becoming a sound contributor to one of the biggest music theory plugins in the world called Scalar 2. Beyond that, he's actually gone from being one of my YouTube subscribers to being somebody that is a go-to for some of the most craziest melodic loops that we create over at Slap Experts. Barber is literally a genius on the keys who didn't recognize his own genius until he was able to go through this peak enjoyment method. Now, in case you haven't watched the first 4 videos that I released before this, it is highly suggested that you go back first to catch up on all the information. Beyond it being filled with hella helpful gems, it will be a challenge for you to fully understand what we're talking about without having the proper context. So please, my friend, pause this video, go back and watch the first 4 videos and come back to us. Now, for those of you that are still watching, you already know the value of this information we've shared so far. In those first few videos, we covered the problem that we have with old, complicated ways of teaching producers how to make and mix their beats. We also discovered the necessity of being able to develop a bias towards action when picking and adding sounds to our beats so that we can unlock our peak enjoyment level that we call what? The flow state. We also laid out a general roadmap on what it takes to achieve this flow state. Now today, I thought it would be pretty dope for you to hear exactly how the peak enjoyment method has worked for one of my favorite students in Barber. The following is a short Zoom interview where Aaron walks you through this crazy transformation he saw in a short period of time when he decided to go all the way in on this peak enjoyment training. Make sure that you watch till the end because I finally I'll have some more information about my music producer power course. So please stay tuned. But before that, watch this amazing interview. I think you're gonna find so many gems within it. See you in a sec. As we went through this program, I saw you do things that just blew me away in terms of your growth in such a short period of time, man. And so take me back to before you went through this program. What was your biggest challenge as a music producer?
Really finding my purpose within the game, whether I was going to be, I didn't know I was going to be making loops. I didn't know that that was going to become the primary focus of my compositions.
So how has your music career changed since implementing the things that I taught you in the music producer power course?
I found my demographic. I found even the sound I should be making, the style I fell into, and I found out I don't even need to be making beats anymore. Beats was something, and it actually came around the time that I saw you shift from making beats, and shifted from making beats over to making nothing but pure melodic loops, leaving this might sound blasphemous to a lot of producers, but just leaving the drums out and just allowing me to be free melodically, even sometimes without tempo, without BPM, just being me.
So when you hear the phrase peak enjoyment, especially when it comes to the process of making music and your approach to music, what does that mean to you?
It means turning off my brain, turning off that voice in my head that says, no one's gonna like this. You don't even like this, and that's bullshit. Because I can cuss on here, right?
Of course. They want the real. They don't want you being they don't want you being the testimonial guy. They want the real, and we all want to hear, because the real story is so much more. I'm really curious, what does peak enjoyment mean to you, and how does that change your approach to even how you approach making music or mixing? And is it something that you find yourself overthinking? Were you an overthinker before?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Peak enjoyment means finding the path of least resistance in your workflow. I went and deleted all of my drums, got a Splice account, got as many packs that I could of drums that I liked, but I don't even touch those anymore. Working with loops, I'm a musician of 13, 14 years, I still use loops to help boost the workflow. Simplifying things so that my monkey brain isn't all over the place overthinking, because it will do that. And I'll be, I won't be telling myself, no, this needs to be fixed. I need to adjust this EQ. I have everything set up from the individual tracks to my master. Everything's already set up and ready to go, including on my keyboard. I have presets built and ready.
Could you tell us the story, the now legendary story in my eyes of the 10-minute beat drill? Walk us through the challenges that you endured. Walk us through the reaction that people had when they watched you do this 10-minute beat challenge, that you had no idea about it. Like, to your best ability, take us back to that time period, because that was a pretty career-changing moment for you.
Got in, and I actually did 2 takes, because my first take the audio didn't capture it. And I went in there, I was probably in that flow state, because I went in and I knocked it out, and I even got the drums done too. And after that, I found out my audio didn't record, and it was badass. It was a good beat. I was bummed out. I felt like I failed because the audio didn't work. I was down. I was beating myself up. In my head, I was saying, God, you can't even handle the audio right. How are you ever going to do anything? How are you going to teach music theory, with audio working like that? Your chord progressions suck. You're playing the same stuff all the time. You do not compare to Corey Henry or Chick Corea. You are not a gospel piano player.
Imagine all those thoughts. Imagine all those thoughts coming into your mind. That is their prefrontal cortex fully activated. Yeah. The inner critic is fully activated. Why did you delete it? Why? But if you could recognize it was a beautiful progression, why did you delete it? What was going on inside your head? I mean, you kind of gave us a glimpse into that, but at that moment, if you could remember or you could recall, what could it possibly be in your head that could say this is not good enough? Delete it.
You use these chords too much. You are just using minor 9s again in root form. Look at you. Can you ever comp with your left hand correctly? Like, I'm telling myself, I'm talking hardcore shit that I know that I do bad, or not even bad, because it sounded good. I wasn't allowing myself to listen to the music for what it was and enjoy it harmonically. I wasn't listening to it like a consumer would. I was listening to it like a scientist would, rather than an artist.
After all that, we sat there and we flooded you with praise and let you know you're completely letting that voice in your head defeat you and overcomplicate things. It was an emotional moment after that. Can you recall why that was so emotional for you?
Because for golly, I have tried production, I think like 2 other times, and I stuck with it for maybe about 2 years or so. Every time I ended up putting it back down, because I worked with, I guess I shouldn't blame this dude, but I really should blame myself for letting his comments and his work ethic really get to me. And his comments and his work ethic stuck with me, because I thought that's the way I had to be. I thought I had to analyze things like, okay, well, you've used those chords before. Don't use them again. That's too simple. You need to make it more complex, because there's a million other people out there, composers and producers, that can outdo you like nothing. And you need to keep things fresh. It's really I let his way of doing things get to me. And for the next two tries that I had tried, 2 attempts at being a music producer, I let that work ethic get to me. It wasn't until I took the course on. It really wasn't until I gone through the course and noticed these things about peak enjoyment and just enjoying being an artist rather than a scientist.
Where is your music career now? How has this now affected your music career? What are some of the opportunities that have come up since because of that?
The first opportunity was to contribute chord progression, gospel chord progressions to Scalar. And at first I didn't think, it wasn't, I think, until this year that I found out they were going to come out with a Scalar too and put me in there. But I want to say it was successful. I haven't heard any complaints. I hadn't gotten any angry DM saying, Aaron, this ain't gospel. This is nowhere like what I say to myself in my head.
So I was going to say that right now. You're not hearing anywhere near the complaints that sometimes that prefrontal cortex or that inner critic can do to us, and can do a number on us because he's an asshole, right? So let me, and it's kind of a question that's not even on the list of questions I have for you, but now what happens, because those thoughts don't just go away, right? If you've been under those for years and you've had those, what is now something that you've learned from the peak enjoyment method that you have shifted when those thoughts come up?
Just sit back and tell that voice, fuck you.
Yes.
You don't play.
Yes.
You don't have arms. You don't have fingers. You can't even touch the keyboard.
Yes.
You control there is a place for the scientist, right? There is a place for the scientific and critical mind, but it is not during the creation process. And that's something we've established. Tell that voice, just take a back seat, wait for his turn, and come back when it's needed. For now, let your hands do the work. Get your mouse and keyboard and click those notes in if you have to. But you make that voice take a back seat. Absolutely.
How can you say, like, what allows you to see that you're enjoying music more, or making music more, I should say?
Seeing where I've come from and how restricted I was keeping myself. And this goes back to what I've heard you say. Music doesn't have to be complicated. Music doesn't have to be difficult. It should be something you enjoy. And I was making it extremely difficult for myself. I was, no, it has to be 9 bars. You cannot go beyond it. You better make a change at 9 bars. I've seen both composers and producers do this. So I figured that was a rule that could not be broken. Music is so fluid, and that's something we forget in the production process, in the cook-up process, is how fluid music should be and how fluid music is. There are absolutes in music, but not everything is an absolute. You should not restrict yourself like the way that I was. Right. And going from then, it had to be a certain tempo. It had to be a certain BPM. You need to do it in a certain key. You need to restrict yourself like this. You can't use this instrument. You have to use this effect. You have to sidechain this. It's all about telling that voice, fuck you, let me experiment.
Talk that. Let them know. Sheesh. That was crazy, right? Watching that video inspires me because, I mean, ultimately, I don't have control over the dedication of my students. All I can do is provide them with the same game plan that helped change my life and hope that it can help them at least manifest the change that they really, really want. Seeing stories like Aaron leaves me with, I mean, you can see it on my face, a big old Kool-Aid smile, because I know how far he has come, and I'm supremely proud to witness how the peak enjoyment method has helped him produce such crazy results. In an ideal world, I would love to do the same thing I did for Aaron, for every producer that struggles with self-doubt, but at least has the courage to bet it all on themselves. But you and I know it's not quite possible. However, what I have found is that the peak enjoyment method works best when I'm able to teach this in smaller groups of students. This ensures that they can get the support and help that they truly and really need. Fam, if you've been watching these videos and you've been taking notes and you've been going all the way in on the assignments, you may be one of the students that's perfect for the upcoming Music Producer Power course. In the next video, which is the final video in this series, I will finally share with you instructions on how to reserve your spot in this program. Lastly, I will also share with you in that video more specific information on what you can expect from my course and why it's different from anything you've seen before in the producer community. That being said, you must not waste another second before signing up to this early bird waiting list. It is filling up fast, but until the next time in the next video, I will see you. Have a good one.